Hello students, good morning, and I welcome you back to the video again. As I have shared with you previously the PPT and the introductory video, and also where we have completed the chemical analysis of the compounds, biomolecules compound, where we have found inorganic and organic compound, and also in the first PPT video where I am explaining that I have completed the nucleic acid. As you have requested again that I should be teaching in the whiteboard, okay, so it's fine, but all this the number of videos will increase, okay, as I have discussed, as I have told you earlier also, because I'm going to make a smaller, shorter videos for you. Now in this segment, in this video, we'll be studying carbohydrate only. Now what is carbohydrate? Carbohydrate is a biomacromolecules, okay, biomacromolecules whose molecular weights are more than 1000 Dalton, okay. So those biomolecules, out of which one is carbohydrate. One we have already seen in our previous video, that is nucleic acid, okay. Nucleic acid is a biomacromolecule. We have completed one. Now we are seeing the second biomacromolecule, that is carbohydrate. Now what is carbohydrate? It is the most abundantly found organic substance or organic molecule. They are most abundantly found in any organic substance. You take any organic substance like plant tissue or animal tissue, you take any living tissue, you will find carbohydrate, the percentage of carbohydrate will be more comparing to any other macromolecules, okay. If you compare nucleic acid, protein, fats, or any other biomolecules, you will find carbohydrate in more percentage. They are most abundantly found, and the general formula of carbohydrate is CnH2ON. So it shows, from this formula we understand that carbohydrate is made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, okay. Now as we know, carbohydrate is a biomacromolecules. We are going to learn about its type, its structure, its function. So we'll start with the function, then we'll come to the types, okay. So function of carbohydrates are mainly, they are used as a source of energy. Okay, mainly they are used as source of energy, and they also act as a precursor for many other biomolecules such as fats and amino acids. Okay, now remember, fats, amino acids, they are also biomolecules. They are also biomolecules. You have understood what biomolecules are, right? Okay. So as we have interacted in our Google Meet session, and also some of the students have dropped me a message with some doubts. So there I could understand that you are clear with what biomolecules are. Okay, molecules found in living organism, and this molecule can be these molecules are known as organic molecules, organic biomolecules, okay. So where we have divided into microbiomolecules and macrobiomolecules, okay, and we are studying biomacromolecules. All right, so in this chapter mainly we are studying biomacromolecules, okay. So where precursor for fats and amino acid, it means fats and amino acids is also molecules, okay. So precursor means that fats are formed by carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Amino acids are also formed by carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So ultimately amino acids and fats are formed from carbohydrates only. So it is the precursor. The first compound is carbohydrate. So somehow carbohydrate gets converted to fats, carbohydrate gets converted to amino acid by combining with some functional group, or by combining with some metal or other element, it combines and it forms a fats, or it forms a amino acid. but the precursor is the carbohydrate. Okay. Next is they are present as glycoprotein, okay, and glycolipids. Where? In cell membrane. Okay, they are present as glycoprotein. That means carbohydrate is associated with protein. This glyco refers to carbohydrate associated with protein, and glycolipids, carbohydrate associated with lipids. Okay, so they form a one compound. So carbohydrate associating with protein, they form a compound called glycoprotein. Carbohydrate associated with lipids, they form glycolipids, and then they form a structural unit of cell membrane. Okay, so as if you recall the fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane, which is a cell membrane, it is made up of two lipid layers, right? So that lipid layer is again embedded with some proteins, embedded with some sugar and lipids. Okay, so those are glycoprotein and glycolipids, which are a result of carbohydrate. Okay, so the carbohydrate also plays a role in the structural unit of cell membrane. Now they also form the structural unit of other parts. So we have seen they play a role as a structural unit of cell membrane. Here we will see the structural unit like cellulose is a carbohydrate, which is a composition of the cell wall in plants. Okay, then exoskeleton. Carbohydrate also forms exoskeleton in insect, cell wall in plants. Okay, and then cell wall in microorganism. Cell wall in microorganism. And the last function is the important one. This carbohydrate is used as a storage of energy. Some form of carbohydrate is also used as a storage of energy, such as for the storage purpose, glycogen, inulin, starch. The common one is glycogen. The most abundantly found is glycogen. They are stored in our body. Also, glycogen is stored in animal body. Carbohydrate is converted into glycogen, and they are stored in our body. Like how fats are stored, in a similar manner, carbohydrates are also stored. So that's why our dietitian or fitness expert, why do they always ask to reduce the consumption of carbs, carbohydrate? Because it's not only because of the fat nutrient we put on weight. It is also because of carbohydrate, because carbohydrate can store the food. Okay, they can store the food in our body. So it's not only the fats which is present in our body. If we are overweight, then it is also glycogen. Okay, this was the function. Now we will see the types. This is the molecular structure of carbohydrate. We have seen the function, structure. Structure is made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Function we have seen, at least 5 functions we have seen. Now we will see the types. Okay, it is of 3 types, or classified into 3 groups. First is monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. Okay, first we'll see all these are the classified form of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is classified into these 3 types of all are carbohydrate only. Monosaccharide is also carbohydrate, oligosaccharide, polysaccharide, they are all carbohydrate. Okay, so we'll learn this. We'll start with monosaccharide. So monosaccharide is the basic unit of carbohydrate. Basic unit of carbohydrate. Like how we have studied nephron is a basic unit of kidney, alveoli is a basic unit of kidney, okay? Cell is a basic unit of a living organism. So the minute and the base, okay, the ground structural unit is known as the basic unit, okay, without which carbohydrate cannot be formed. So it is the smallest unit, okay. Monosaccharide basic unit means the smallest unit of carbohydrate, and they cannot be broken down, cannot be hydrolyzed. Hydrolyzed means cannot be broken down by the enzyme, okay, because they are already the smallest unit. So how can the smallest unit, you cannot break down, right? Like protein breaks down into amino acid, and after that you cannot break down amino acid further, because amino acid is the smallest unit of protein. In the same manner, monosaccharide is the smallest unit of carbohydrate, it cannot be hydrolyzed further, okay. Now there are monosaccharides types. So based on carbon atom number, okay, number 1, triosis, where carbon number is 3. If carbon number is 3, if N is 3, what will be the hydrogen number? 6, oxygen number 3. So this is known as triose. So what is triose? It is a monosaccharide. Okay, it is a monosaccharide. Based on the carbon atom number, we name it as triose. Okay, so 3 carbon. Another example we see. Example of this triad is glyceraldehyde. Another example we can see is tetrose, where carbon is 4, then hydrogen will be 8, oxygen will be 4. Okay, example of tetrose is erythrose. Okay, so based on this carbon atom number, we have different types of monosaccharides like triose, tetrose, pentose, okay, hexose. Now we have another type. It is based on the functional group. We have studied functional group in class 10. So you will be able to, in chemistry you have studied in class 10, you will be able to tell what functional group is. Like aldehyde, ketone, alcohol, these are all functional group. So when carbohydrate is attached with these functional groups, monosaccharides can be of different types. So there are 2 functional groups which associates with carbohydrate, and they form 2 different types of monosaccharides. Okay, so first is when functional group aldehyde combines. Aldehyde is CHO. When aldehyde combines with the carbohydrate, it forms a monosaccharide called glucose. So what is glucose actually? We have been learning glucose everywhere. So what is glucose? It is a monosaccharide. And what type of monosaccharide? Glucose is a monosaccharide where functional group aldehyde is attached to the carbohydrate. When carbohydrate is attached with aldehyde, this is the aldehyde group. Okay, so then it forms a glucose. Then we have other example, that is not aldehyde, aldose. Aldehyde group, but this glucose is known as aldose. Glucose is an example of aldose. Okay. Then another functional group which gets attached is ketone. Ketone functional group. Now C double bond O. Okay. So it forms fructose, which is an example of ketose. Fructose. Okay, based on the functional group. So this was monosaccharide. Now we will see oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides can be broken down further because they are complex structure. They are not a basic structure. Can be hydrolyzed. Oligosaccharide can be hydrolyzed, and they are formed by the condensation of 2 to 9 monosaccharides. Okay, 2 to 9 monosaccharides. So there are 3 different types of oligosaccharide. Number 1, disaccharides, which is made up of 2 monosaccharides. Okay, disaccharides are made up of 2 monosaccharides, so that's why it is called disaccharides. Okay, having 2 monosaccharides. Okay, so what is disaccharide? It is an oligosaccharide. Remember this chain. So this chain starts with what? It starts with monosaccharide. Okay, so monosaccharide is the smallest unit, and then comes the oligosaccharide, which is made up of monosaccharide. You can see it is formed by monosaccharide. How many monosaccharides? Around 2 to 9. So when 2 monosaccharides combine, then it forms disaccharides. Okay, example, sucrose and lactose. So sucrose and lactose are carbohydrate which is made up of 2 monosaccharides. Then we have trisaccharides. Trisaccharides which is made up of 3 monosaccharides. Okay, 3 monosaccharides. Example, raffinose. Okay, then we have the last one, tetrasaccharides. Which is made up of 4 monosaccharides. Example, stachydos. Raffinose is an example of trisaccharide, and stachydos is an example of tetrasaccharide. Up to tetrasaccharide, if you learn, that is enough. So from 2 to 9, all you don't need to learn. Okay, so we are learning till 2, 3, 4. Till 2 to 4 we have learned. So when two monosaccharides combine, it forms disaccharide. When 3 monosaccharides combines, it forms trisaccharide. When 4 monosaccharides combine, it forms tetrasaccharide. Like that, up to 9 we have. Okay, so that you don't need to learn up to 9. So that these all are oligosaccharides. Okay, and all oligosaccharides can be broken down. It can be hydrolyzed because it is complex molecule. It is not the smallest molecule. They have so many monosaccharides. So this monosaccharides can be broken down. So that's why it is called can be hydrolyzed. The last one is polysaccharides. Okay, so we'll see the nature of polysaccharide first. It is non-crystalline. Like how other monosaccharide and oligosaccharides were, but this one is non-crystalline, non-soluble in water. Okay, they are non-soluble in water, tasteless. They are also tasteless. Rest oligosaccharides and monosaccharides, they are sweet in taste. Okay, glucose, sucrose, fructose, they all are sweet in taste. Whereas these polysaccharides, they are tasteless. Okay, and it can be hydrolyzed into many molecules of monosaccharides. It can be hydrolyzed. Okay, it can be hydrolyzed because they are complex. Polysaccharide, it is made up of many monosaccharides. Okay. Now, since they can be hydrolyzed and they are made up of many units of monosaccharides. Okay, they are made up of many units of monosaccharides. That means if this is monosaccharide monomer, it will be many units will be joined together. Many units, and it will form polysaccharides. Okay. So, but when this monosaccharide, one monosaccharide, other monosaccharide, when they are joined, obviously they are joined by certain bond. So here the bond is a glycosidic bond. Okay, a glycosidic bond helps in joining. Like how in disaccharide we have seen, in oligosaccharides, disaccharide one monomer joins with other monomer. Monomer means monosaccharides. In trisaccharide, there are 3 monosaccharides joined by bones. So what are these bones? So the bones which joins the sugar, these are not sugar, carbohydrate we are studying. So bones which joins the sugar is known as glycosidic bone. So like that, here in polysaccharide the bones will be glycosidic bone. And mainly the function of this polysaccharide is they are for storage and structural function. Storage, they form a storage component and structural component. Their main function. Okay, their main function, they form a storage component and structural component. So we'll see some of the examples here. Examples. So to understand the example, we have to learn their types. So polysaccharides are of 2 types, homoglycan and heteroglycan. Very simple. Homoglycans are those type of polysaccharides which are made up of which is made up of only one type of monosaccharides. Okay, one type of monosaccharides. Such as monosaccharides we have seen example such as glucose and triose, tetrose. All these are examples of monosaccharides. Now, if one carbohydrate is made up of only glucose, suppose 10 glucose has joined together and formed a monosaccharide, has formed a polysaccharide. So that kind of polysaccharide is homoglycan, where it is made up of only one type of monosaccharide. It is made up of only glucose, only one type. Okay, so like that we have example: starch and cellulose. They are made up of only one type of monosaccharide, and heteroglycan is opposite of that, made up of one or more two or more type of monosaccharide. Example is chitin and peptidoglycans. Okay, these are examples where different types of monosaccharides join together. For example, this heteroglycan, if you are taking an example, it can be made up of like 5 sucrose and 5 glucose and 5 triose. So different monosaccharides are joined and it forms a heteroglycan when there are more than 2 type of monosaccharides, not one type of monosaccharide, more than 2 types of monosaccharide, then that is heteroglycan. Okay, so here for the storage purpose, example are starch is for storage, carbohydrate which can be stored, polysaccharides which can be stored. Storage polysaccharides, and structural polysaccharide. It means this is for storing the food or storing the energy, and structural, they make the structure like cell wall. Okay, mainly the cell walls they make, cell structure. So for storage purposes, starch, glycogen, okay, and inulin. For structural polysaccharides are chitin, okay, cellulose. They all are structural. They form the structure. Cellulose form the structure or the cell wall of the plant cell. Chitin form the cell wall of the fungus. Okay, and starch, glycogen, inulin, they are stored as a food inside the cell, okay, of any plant, or it can be animals. Okay, so here we come to the conclusion of today's class. We have completed carbohydrate. In our next segment, we will be completing protein. Thank you and have a good day.